Hello, thank you for stopping by our channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. My neighbor Jack shared the craziest story with me while we were driving to the big mall, where my wife and I were planning to do some shopping. When Jack heard about our trip, he asked if he could come along, and I didn't mind at all. There was more than enough space in the car, and Jack is one of those guys who always has a hilarious story to tell, so I knew the drive would be fun. On the way to the mall, he started telling me about something wild that had just happened to his cousin Jerry. My wife and I were laughing so hard we were practically in tears, but let me take you back to the start of it. First off, Jack asked if we remembered his cousin Jerry. My wife and I nodded. We'd seen him a few times at Jack's place, even at a barbecue once for Jack's birthday. I recalled Jerry being just as cheerful as Jack, and he definitely liked his liquor, rum and whiskey, especially. Jack went on to explain how, about 2 weeks ago, he, Jerry, and another buddy had made plans to go camping and fishing for the weekend. Just the guys, no wives, no kids. But, as soon as they reached their favorite camping spot, the entire fishing trip was a disaster. Jack still can't wrap his head around how Jerry and the other guy managed to punch a hole in their boat, sinking it along with all their fishing gear and poles. They ended up having to swim back to shore, losing some of their clothes in the process. Jerry came out of that lake in nothing but his pants, a t-shirt and socks. Thankfully, nobody drowned, and no one got hurt. They weren't at all prepared for this kind of thing, though. They hadn't brought any extra clothes, so after that freezing swim, the only way to warm up was by the fire. With nothing else to do, they packed it up and headed home, cutting their camping trip short on the very first day. They got back to town around midnight, and everyone's wives and kids were already fast asleep. Jerry slipped quietly into his house, trying not to wake anyone, but then he heard something. It was the sound of a woman moaning, those familiar soft sighs and gasps his wife Lindsay made when she was having sex. Jerry's heart sank, his fists clenching at his sides, ready to lash out at whatever or whoever was in sight. He was already furious about the ruined trip, but now his wife was cheating on him. Jerry roared in anger, bursting into their bedroom, spewing curses at his unfaithful wife. But all that rage disappeared in a heartbeat, replaced by pure confusion as he stared at the scene in front of him. His wife, startled by his sudden entrance, scrambled to cover her naked body with the sheets, looking shocked. "Jerry, what are you doing here?" Only it wasn't Lindsay who said that, it was another woman. That's right, the person in bed with his wife wasn't a man, it was another woman. At first, Jerry couldn't even recognize her in the dimly lit room, but when he flicked on the overhead light, there she was, his former mistress, Sally, lying naked in bed with his wife. Yeah, Jerry had been cheating too. He'd had a fling with Sally a while back, though he'd kept it a secret, and the affair had ended as quickly as it started. Jerry never had any intention of leaving his wife or family, he loved them and wanted to stay with them. Sally was just an escape, a little side action. It was Lindsay who snapped out of the shock first. She looked at her lover and asked, "How do you know Jerry? I never told you his name." That question brought Jerry's fury roaring back to life. What followed was a screaming match where they hurled accusations of infidelity at each other, slinging insults back and forth. Then, together, they turned on their mutual lover, calling her every name in the book, before throwing her naked out of the house. How did Lindsay try to clean up this mess afterward? She did the first dumb thing that came to mind, she blamed everything on Jerry, trying to save face with their families. That very night, Lindsay hastily packed her things, yelled at her husband, grabbed his car, and drove straight to her parents' house, where their son was spending the weekend. Lindsay's family all lived nearby, and they often gathered together on weekends. She wasted no time in telling them about Jerry's affair, conveniently leaving out the steamy details of her own affair with another woman. She painted her husband as the worst kind of liar and jerk, which left her family in shock and outrage. Lindsay's father didn't waste a moment, he called Jerry and laid into him, scolding him for destroying their marriage and behaving disgracefully. Furious at being blamed, Jerry hailed a taxi and headed straight to his in-laws' place to clear things up. Once there, he confronted his wife in front of the entire family, accusing her of cheating, adding that it wasn't with another man but with another woman. He clarified that he had walked in on Lindsay in bed with her lover, not the other way around. The family was now equally horrified by Lindsay's actions, and this whole situation became juicier than any soap opera. Both of them, however, were to blame for airing their dirty laundry in front of others. Now, not only did Lindsay's family know, but word spread to Jerry's relatives and their circle of friends too. After this blow-up, Jerry went over to his cousin Jack's place and stayed up late, talking over a bottle of whiskey. He was deeply stressed by the whole mess. It especially bothered him to think about his wife being in bed with another woman, particularly his former mistress. Strangely enough, the idea of her being with another man didn't disturb him nearly as much. Lindsay assured him that her relationship with her lover was over, while Jerry swore that he had stopped contacting her long ago and that his heart belonged only to his wife. In Jack's opinion, it was a good thing this all came out while the relationship between the women was still new. Lindsay admitted they had only been intimate twice. They had met at the gym over the summer, where Lindsay had started taking group fitness classes. When Jerry heard this, he smacked his forehead in disbelief. He couldn't figure out how they'd met. He knew his ex-mistress worked out at a gym close to their house. Lindsay had been going to the gym to slim down and stay in shape, and the two women quickly became friends during their workouts. Soon enough, they started hanging out outside the gym, too. Lindsay had never shown any interest in women before, but things heated up quickly with her new lover. Their first sexual encounter happened at the mistress's apartment, a place Jerry himself had visited more times than he could count. Lindsay enjoyed their night together and later invited her lover home, knowing Jerry was away camping that weekend. Jerry typically didn't return until Sunday afternoon, so Lindsay didn't expect him back early. She dropped their son off at her parents', who were always eager to spend time with their grandson, then called her lover over for a relaxing evening. Jerry and Lindsay tried to salvage their marriage through couples counseling. Both of them started seeing a therapist, learning how to communicate their desires and needs honestly and openly. Jerry craved more affection and attention from his wife, who had been more focused on herself than on her husband, their home, or their child. On the other hand, Lindsay had grown bored with the monotony of their relationship and longed for excitement and passion again. She didn't want affairs with other men, so she sought that thrill with another woman instead. After therapy, Jerry felt like a different person. He wasn't used to expressing his emotions and desires so openly, so it was a liberating experience for him. As their relationship began to improve, the affair seemed like a thing of the past, bringing the couple closer together. But Jerry was wrong. In a bid to kill two birds with one stone, Jerry decided to join Lindsay at her gym. He figured he could improve his fitness while also spending more time with his wife. Without telling her, he secretly arrived for a class, changed in the men's locker room, and then waited in the main area, excited to surprise her and work out together. But his hopes were completely shattered when Lindsay emerged from the women's locker room hand in hand with her former mistress, the two of them chatting and laughing as if nothing had happened. In that moment, Jerry realized his wife had been lying to him and was still seeing her lover behind his back. After that, no amount of therapy or talking could save their marriage. The couple ended up divorcing amicably not long after. More than angry, Jerry felt hollow and disillusioned. He sold off his share of their assets and moved out of state, as far away from his ex-wife as possible. Lindsay, meanwhile, moved in with her new girlfriend. By court order, she kept custody of their son, though her family disapproved of her new partner, blaming her for ruining what had been a good family. Life plays strange tricks on all of us, and anything can happen in this wild world. That's the story. Share your thoughts in the comments on this situation and the behavior of the spouses. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up, it will really help the channel grow. Take care and have a great day.